Hello, my name is Nibio. So today we're gonna look at the number types. So the first one we have is whole numbers, and we're gonna go to natural numbers, and we will continue to integer number, rational numbers, irrational numbers, real numbers. So first, let's start with whole numbers. So when they say whole numbers, it's usually from zero. It's usually a counting numbers with zero, like counting number with zero. Usually a counting number with zero. So for example, it could be any numbers from and so on. So we be 0 can be whole numbers, 2 can be whole number, also 1. 1 can also be a whole numbers, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm sorry, I forgot to put 1 on there. So and so on, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's usually a counting numbers and 0. Right here I just forget to put 1. So it'll be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, and so on. Those are called the whole numbers. So is 0 and counting number. The counting number is from here and so on. From 1 and so on. So yeah, this is the whole numbers. But this idea is from 0 and counting number so on. Okay, let's go to natural numbers. Let's do some practice. So 200 is a whole number. Negative 200 is not whole number because it is negative. 0.1 is not whole number because it's decimal. 22 is a whole number. 13, no, it's the 16. 16 is whole number. 2022 is a whole number because it's a counting number. 2023 is a whole number if we change it to this, it's a whole number. If we even change it to this, it's a whole number. Okay, let's look at the natural number. So a natural number is simple idea. It's basically counting number. Counting number. So it's usually from, for example, we know the whole number is counting number with 0. So a whole number is usually from 1. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on. No. 9, and so on. So let's do some practice. So and we're gonna build our knowledge as we go on. So we're gonna combine the whole number and natural number. So let's do this. So 0 is not natural number, but is a whole number. 22. So 22 is a whole number. Yes, I'm gonna play like this. A whole number and natural number. I'm gonna put like this. That is the same thing to write it in the word form. So 22 is a whole number and a natural number because a whole number is counting number and 0. So 22 is a counting number, so which make it a whole number. A natural number is counting number, so which 22 is counting number. So how about if I do 5? 5 will be whole number and natural number. 0 is it happen to be a whole number but not natural number because 0, a whole number is a 0 and counting number. A counting number is just from 1 and continue on. Okay, Let's go to the next one. The next one is integer. So integer here is where we introduce a negative number. So the integer will be negative natural number, or it could be negative so it will be negative counting number. Negative counting number, and I'm gonna put plus a whole number. So it's mean, usually it's mean. It's gonna be negative counting number, so it will be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. So plus a whole number, so it's gonna be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And so on. So which means integer is a negative number, but a negative number as a natural number. So usually a negative natural number, if you want to use the previous terminology. So they're going to be negative natural number. Natural number. Negative natural number plus a whole number, which is 0 and counting number. Yeah, that's the basic idea. So if we do some practice, maybe negative 22 is integer. It's not a whole number because it's negative. It's not a natural number because it's negative. And yeah, it's not any of those. But it can be a negative natural number. But if we say natural numbers, then it cannot match the definition of natural number. If you say negative natural numbers, then yes. So it's only the integer. If we do 22, 22 is all the three, so it's whole number. It's natural number. And is integer. Integer. So yeah, it's all three. Okay, whole number, natural number, integer. So let's go to the next one. Next one is called rational numbers. Rational number is very interesting numbers because the rational number is a whole numbers. Is a whole number, is integer. Is integer and is a natural numbers. Its whole number is a natural numbers and is integer. So but something special about rational numbers is you have to meet like this condition. You have to be written as function. It can have terminal end, it can have repeating decimal. You can have repeating decimal and you can have terminal end. Okay, the question is, what is the terminal end? So, for example, 0.25. This is terminal end because it's not keep going. But if I have terminal repeating decimal, will be 0.25. This one is repeating decimal because it's keep going. It's forever. Yeah, that's the difference. Terminal end, yeah, you have end is not it's stopping. It's not forever going. But repeating decimal is keep going forever. That's the difference. So what is the rational numbers then? So irrational numbers. Let me erase some of this stuff. For space rise. So rational numbers, if I have, for example, because the whole number, integer, and natural numbers, if I have like integer -8, so -8 is rational numbers. Why? Because -8 you can write as fraction. For example, -8 you could write it as 8/1. You could write it as 16/2. That is also the other way, but I'm gonna stop right here. I don't wanna create the misconfusion. But we need to have the negative because I'm gonna spare -8 integer. So this one is the irrational number because we turn this to fraction and it work. So which means -8 is rational numbers. So -8 could also be integer. But it cannot be a natural number because the natural number, remember, the natural number is a counting number only. Natural is natural. A whole number is a counting number and 0. But integer is a natural numbers as negative and a whole numbers as the way they are. So it's a natural number as negative plus a whole numbers. So this number 8 is only integer and rational numbers. It's not a natural numbers because it's negative. It's not a whole number because it's a negative numbers. That's the bottom line. So basically that's how the rational look like. It have to be if it could be turned into fraction, and if you have the terminal end like 0.25. If you could take that fraction and put it in decimal and get some number look like this, have terminal end, does not keep going, then that number is irrational numbers. If you get something that have like the number repeating, for example, if it's kind of like 0.256256256, then that number is rational numbers. Let's look at irrational numbers. Irrational numbers, if the number cannot be rational numbers. All numbers that are not irrational numbers, those numbers are irrational numbers. Something about irrational numbers, if like those numbers have a terminal, have repeating decimal, those numbers are not, are not irrational numbers, are rational numbers. But if like those numbers keep going, but there's not repeat of the numbers, then that number is irrational numbers. It's going, it's continue to be going, but it's not repeating. For example, like these numbers, you could say, New Year, there is 7 and there is 7 right here, and there is 9s and there is 9s right here. But remember, when you look at the numbers, you could see 2, 1 is 3, 60, 67, 97. If, for example, if you have like the number that looks like this, 23, 9, 1, 23, 9, 2, 23, 9, then you could see there is repeating. But if they look like this, there is not repeating. You could say, oh, 77 and 7 right here. If you have like another 7 right here, in this case, I did not value, so which means it's larger and lower, because if it was higher, then this would be 8. So you have like 977 and have here 977 or something like that, something that will look kind of repeating wise, then those number will be different, because this one, the irrational numbers, is usually is a number that is not rational, meaning the number is a decimal, but without stopping, but without having a number repeats numbers for yourself. That's the difference. So rational can be written as fraction. Irrational, it cannot be written as fraction. Cannot. That's the key. Cannot be written as fraction. And remember, fraction, you cannot put 0 under. It's usually 1 or greater. 1 and on. Something from 1 and on, but not 0. Because if you put 0 there, you cannot divide something to 0 population. So it's always 1, 2, 3, or -1. It's either from negative numbers, not a 0, to positive numbers. Those numbers can go there, but not a 0. Okay, let's look at real numbers. Real numbers are very interesting. Real numbers, any number that can go to number line. So which mean irrational numbers, natural numbers, whole number, integer, rational, irrational. Those numbers are real numbers because they can go to number line. Number line, that's pretty much it. So, and which mean all numbers are real numbers. All the numbers we talk about are real numbers. So which mean all rational numbers and irrational numbers. And remember, rational number is a whole number, natural number, and integer. Irrational numbers is just all number that is not rational numbers. So real numbers is rational numbers is this two. So it's rational numbers. So these are real numbers. Because rational number, remember, is the other three. Irrational number is what is not rational numbers. So that's pretty much it. Let's do some practice. So 0 and it's positive and it's negative numbers. So pretty much it. Let's do some practice. So if I give you 25, so 25 will be, let's go from like real number. Okay, 25 is a real number, is a natural number. Natural number is whole numbers, is integer, is rational number, but is not irrational. The reason why it's not irrational because it's rational. It cannot be rational and irrational. And the reason why it's not irrational is because irrational is a numbers that is cannot be written as fraction, plus is a numbers that have a decimal that is keep going without having a number repeating themselves. But this number is not a decimal number. It's a whole numbers. It's a natural numbers. It's rational. So what is irrational cannot be irrational. Let me put if we have something like this. 0. Take time to write your answers or pause the video. So 0 is real number. 0 is integer. 0 is rational. But is not. But is not natural number. And is not irrational number. It's not natural number because natural number is counting numbers. Counting numbers, which is from 1 and so on. It's not irrational because irrational cannot be written as fraction. But 0 you can write it as fraction, which will be 0 over 1, which is equal to 0. That's why I can write it. That's why it's not irrational. It's irrational because it can be written as fraction. It's real number because it can go to number line. It's integer because it's between positive value and negative value. And the integer have 0 in the middle and have positive value and have negative value on the left, have positive value on the right. And how about if I give you like this number? So this number will be real. It will not be integer. It will not be natural numbers. It will be which numbers? If you put 0, if you put this number in the calculator, what you get? You're gonna get a number that is not what? That is not repeating. So which is approximately like this number. So which this one will be irrational. Will be real numbers will be irrational. The reason why it cannot be integer is 0, positive, and negative. But integer, there is no decimal. Rational. This is why this one it cannot be rational because rational number it has to have the terminal end. It has to have a repeating decimal, but